Good morning. Welcome back to the Big Boppa.
Stone. Out here in the lovely Penrith. I think there was a fire already, but we're safe.
Yeah, it looked like we were driving into a twister tornado. Shout outs to Project 27.
Project 27. Bam bam, drink west.
It's West.
Drinks best.
Having us down the studio.
Yeah.
Now we're pretty keen to dive into it because we've got a lot to talk about. So we got a book. We got books. They're everywhere.
We fucking did it.
We fucking did it.
Yeah.
We have a very special guest.
Should I introduce him?
Yeah, I think so.
Our guest for today is a real close one to the Sticky fam. A hanger-on, one might say, but we prefer to call him one of our best friends. The fella has had years of experience as a journalist, correspondence for the aged and senile, and has contributed effortlessly to the gossip trash we often mistake for the truth, the Daily Mail. His personality is one that can often fool people. Introverted and shy, but when given a chance to probe a little deeper, you discover a man with a hilarious, clever wit, a profound creative brilliance. I've always gravitated to his unique, dry humour. I've particularly enjoyed sharing laughs with him as he's patiently documented our haphazard lives while on the road. Author of the upcoming Sticky Book, Belly of the Beast, we begrudgingly yet respectfully introduce the biggest flop in the Australian music industry, the woefully inept, Sweet 16, better known to the world as Nelson Groom.
Hey.
Lads, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here. Probably only fair that you're turning the tables on me after 4 years of chasing you around, giving you the current affairs treatment. What do you have to say for yourself, mate? Fuck off! They always sound like they're going to cry, those blokes. It's like, what do you have to say for yourself?
Fuck, 4 years, hey?
It's good to have you here, brother.
Thank you for having me.
We got there in the end, hey?
I just want to say quickly, Crabs, you're getting better at that every time.
Yeah, he's getting real good.
I want you to do some sort of speech for me when I'm honoured in some way.
It was definitely the
When you die?
Maybe I'll be honoured for being a legend sooner. Or
It was definitely the
We'll
kindest and most hurtful thing that anybody's ever said about me.
I needed a good mix of
He was
both.
having a crack. He was definitely having a crack.
Yeah, nah.
Take the good with the bad.
I think I'd just like to start by saying, giving you guys all a massive shout out. I think, it's important for listeners to hear that I think that you guys have really, you really are incredibly generous people. And I'm not just talking about with your bags. I think, I think you guys are very generous with people's dreams. I think there's been a lot of, you've made a big dream happen for yourselves. And along the way, I think you've really helped a lot of other people to sort of get their start. As you leveled up over the years, I think you've kind of reached down and lifted a lot of your mates up as well. I think that goes for, not just the musicians that you've shared your stages with, but also, the illustrators and the artists that you've shared your cover art with, and, also like the filmmakers that you've shared your video clips with, and, now sharing this story with me. I think, you've really outdone yourselves because it's a massive job, massive undertaking, publishing a book. So, and I think you guys knew how much it means to me. So you're real ones for that. Shout out.
Oh, buddy.
Cheers, brother.
cheers.
I want him to do more speeches about me
That's
too.
a good speech as well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that is kind of the beauty of this line of work is that us, like our group, we're surrounded by all our friends are creative, and we've been able to just collaborate with them over the years, like Tyson Perkins, you, Reese Day,
Sam Clue, shout
Sam
out.
Clue. Yeah, so it's a great line of work where you can just work with your friends and everyone lifts each other up, and you get opportunities to work with fucking cool people.
Well, that's
They're
special.
good
'cause,
friends.
I mean, you've known Paddy and Beaks since before the band.
That's right.
Yeah, let's go back to the start. That's a good idea. So, Seamus, you and I went to kindergarten together.
That is correct.
And then you dogged me. You're pissed off.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Why did you leave Forest Lodge? Why'd you do it to me?
Because my mum thought my brother was rolling with the wrong crowd.
Forest Lodge was a funny little school because that's where we went to primary school, Paddy, Seamus and I, and it was the Inner West has this amazing kind of balance of like Adelaide's hardened criminal families with
Hippie
like
communes.
really hippie, like really kind of no shoes kids.
Hessian Saxon TNs, like
Yeah,
weird
that's it.
mashup. Yeah.
I was neither no hippie nor esche.
I don't know. Your current look begs to differ.
Haggard, fuck,
Haggard old man.
unkept, shabby.
But yeah, so you left me, you dogged me, and then I
dogged you out.
didn't have a friend in the world, and then
You replaced me. Is what you did.
I
Think about
replaced
that.
you.
I dogged you, but you replaced me. Which way do you want to see
bigger,
it?
faster, sexier, stronger.
Definitely bigger back then, I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fatty.
Yeah, I was,
You were a real boomba, were you?
I was a little soft around the edges. I think years later, doctors would say I was clinically obese.
Morbidly obese. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being fat out there, guys.
I think
I'm fat as shit.
my first memory of broing down with Paddy was early on when I came to Forest Lodge. At the time, this song that everybody was singing, it was the pre-TikTok anthem at the time, was that Mambo Number 5. So it was that
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the song that makes you want to die.
and I just remember it was the most putrid song that I've ever heard in my life. And I was just like,
I really liked it.
apparently I thought that I was, well, it's interesting that you say that you liked it because apparently that I thought that I was a little tastemaker, a little fat tastemaker at the time. And I said to the teacher, can we, miss, this song's fucked. Can we do a class vote? And she was like, okay, well, what do you want to vote? What do you think's good? And apparently I thought that Korn was the best band at the time.
That's dope.
Ooh, yeah, they kind of were though.
Yeah,
That's taste making shit.
Nu metal was hot at the time. So anyway, so we got the whole class together and we got everyone to like vote. So we played Korn first and then they played Mambo Number 5 and they were like, everybody come and sit over to the right if you're a Mambo person and over to the left if you're Korn.
Oh, that's pretty harsh.
And I remember
You
real
zoomed over.
real early on, I just went, sat over, whole class, like a herd, over to the right, and Paddy came and sat by my side. And I just remember being like, this is my ride or die guy.
Was this because
Wait,
you
yeah.
genuinely liked the song, or did you feel sorry for the fat boy?
Bit of both, maybe.
Nah, Korn was cool.
Yeah, Corn, Limp Bizkit,
Limp Bizkit. Hey,
Linkin Park, all that shit. We
wait,
love that shit.
I'm a little bit confused though. Why was this class song? What were you doing? You were performing it? Why were you
No,
deciding on Mambo Number 5? Was the teacher involved in this operation? Was this?
Yeah, so Forest Lodge was a really cool school.
What
Like,
the fuck's going on?
The teacher tell all the
This
kids
is why I
to go
fucking
to the other
left. This is
side.
why I left that school.
yeah, it's true, but they used to just let us.
Divisive.
They used to reward us by letting us, if we got something right in class, they'd be like, you can go and play Quake now. Remember Quake, the
Yes,
game?
yeah.
They'd be like, you can go to a classroom on your own and just blast some zombie scum
Yeah.
for no apparent reason. Like, it was a pretty funny little school.
I remember
It was sick. I loved it.
I remember there was one kid, he's a couple years above us, and it was when the yo-yo craze was going on, and he was
There was
going
also
for,
the marble craze.
There was a lot of crazes happening back in the
It
days.
was a crazy school.
Craze of the days of craze. And he was going for like around the world where you just spin around. He's like
Mm-hmm.
he's gone for the record, miss. And he would just walk around the school flipping a yo-yo around all day to school, and he's walking past all the classes like, oh, there he is, he's going. And it's like, should he be in class? But the teachers didn't seem to give a fuck either. So
Around the world.
around the world, brother.
Around the world we go.
So what happened after that moment of come togetherness?
I feel like after that, it was just like, all the time. We lived about 2 streets away from each other. So after that, we just started hanging out, like making movies, just doing dumb shit, I guess.
Your mum used to drive us to metal concerts out west and just wait in her car at the front.
That's right. Yeah, she shout outs to Bly, my mum.
Yep.
She was very supportive, used to take us to death metal concerts, wait out the front, reading books. And then she would just come and pick us up when we were good. So yeah, I feel like we were real good mates. And then obviously Seamus, we reconnected.
I reappeared on the scene.
Yeah, around high schools, like house party sort of days, which was, I feel like, when Crabs as well, we reconnected.
I remember just before that, going into high school, you and I with our parents went to the Leichhardt High Open Day. and we were definitely going to go to like up. But then at the very end, everyone went into the school assembly and like,
Now I have a very special guest speaker, Alan Jones.
Oh,
and then I think our parents were like, fuck that, fuck this place. That guy's a cocksucker, fat dickhead. And then so we ended up going to a real povo Catholic school in the city called St. Mary's, which is where we met Beaker.
this is hell random. This is hell random.
And Taras
That your
as well.
mum sent you to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
Douche in a turd
Yeah.
sandwich.
Sorry.
Yeah, Taras was a couple of years above us, and I just remember being enamored with like how much of a loose kind of unit he was in his eccentric way.
He was a wild man back then too.
Yeah, he was a crazy boy.
It was super crazy, eh?
I also remember Baker.
What kind of crazy we talking here with Taras? It's like,
Or just, you know how these days he's kind of like the meditating, stretchy, yoga, vegetarian, all the healthy stuff. Like he taught me how to smoke a bucket bong. Got drunk pretty much for the first time properly with Taras. Like he was like wild party man, which is kind of hard to
party
imagine
man,
right now.
like just bongs and beers, or are we talking like he was putting pingies up his butt?
Nah, just bongs and beers at
Yeah,
that
but
stage.
that was crazy.
I'm
still back
talking
then.
like 14, 15
oh,
years old.
okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy. 14.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, just his energy, like he was not scared of any of those teachers or anything. Like he was kind of just pretty loose.
Would he do
Yeah.
like he'd do like public pranks? Would he do that?
His dad was never home at his apartment he had on Campbell Parade, and he was up the top floor, and we had like a fishing line with like a $5 bill that we'd like wind down and just do the classic,
Oh, yeah.
That's a good gag.
good gag. And then we also like had like a PA system that we'd put out on the window and just like this yellow all the tourists getting on and off the double-decker buses.
Hey, fuck you. How about that?
How about though your first interaction with the boys on film and maybe creating together was what Cabbage Productions, for those that don't know.
Yeah, so when we were kind of coming
Frisch.
of age, perhaps around early teen years, and people started going to house parties apparently, but they weren't inviting us. So we didn't really have a wealth of things to do. So I think Paddy and I were always pretty creative, pretty into kind of making stuff, and we got pretty deep into filmmaking. So Paddy, you want to run it by?
Well, yeah, I guess this is like at an age where you can't get into a pub or a club, and as Nelson said, we weren't horribly popular, so we weren't getting invited to all the cool little parties. But I just had this camcorder, and Nelson was just hilarious on camera, so we just started making all these little short films. Like they involved a lot of tomato sauce. They were very violent,
Very brutal.
very brutal. They never had a script. We'd kind of just like shoot a shot and then come up with the next shot, and then we'd kind of end the day by we'd smash them out in the day. That the final product would be done by nightfall, basically.
They'd be done, and then usually that was the time when Paddy's mum was arriving back from finishing work at the hospital.
And come back to the
saving
house
lives.
like, covered in flour
And she
fake
had
blood.
probably been seeing a bit of blood and a bit of confronting stuff in the hospital, and she would come back and find the aftermath of our movies was that we'd usually emptied out all of her tomato sauce bottles, and like maybe there was some little bits of meat here and there, and she was just like, I didn't finish this shit to come back to this. She was like, what the fuck have you done with my tomato sauce? But then we'd usually show the movies, and she's like, oh, that's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, we made her a DVD. Yeah.
You're kind of part of the Sticky fam and you're in a few film clips. Some people might recognize your face a little bit.
A few film clips, Caress Your Soul, that was my first taste of the spotlight, and instantly went to my head. No turning back after that. Also,
No callbacks after that.
single serve. Also my dad was in that one. Shout outs to Murray. He was the
Shout out to Murray.
psychosurgeon in that one. I feel like probably I felt it was pretty interesting as well that I was with Paddy in this kind of origin, which was we were on our way to a piss up, I think at the time, park piss up. We were about 16 years old, and we were walking down King Street, and that was actually when the first time we met Dizza. We were walking past, he was busking, and we saw him there, and we were like, just as we were walking past this bouncer, it's like, oh, give the kid some coins, bro.
Yeah, it was all the bouncer. There was no magic moment where Nelson and I were like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this kid's incredible. I don't think we would have paid him any mind if it wasn't for the bouncer who kind of stopped us in our tracks.
No, but definitely when he did call that out, we were kind of like, hang on, who is this guy?
Oh yeah, I just have to pay credit to the bouncer if he's listening to this somehow.
100%.
Whoever that guy was.
Making
yeah.
dreams happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were kind of like, what's going on with this guy? And we started having a bit of a yarn with him, and he's like, oh yeah, just came to Sydney. And he was like, he just lived around the corner, and he was just busking. He was like
On
15
Denison
years
Street.
old.
Yeah.
So that was sort of how we first linked up with Dizzer. And then after that, I think we started running into each other a fair bit more and started hanging out pretty quickly after that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was it. But Dylan had a big problem with remembering us, from my recollection. Like, we bumped into him and ended up partying like 5 or 6 times before
Still
he finally...
loses, eh?
Yeah.
Didn't make a lasting impression.
I can't blame him.
The feeling wasn't mutual then.
Dylan, hi! Hello. Who the fuck are you, G?
And when did the book actually like start? Like when did like the idea come about?
I wouldn't mind taking this one real
yeah,
quick.
can you? Because I don't like.
Oh, because just going off what Seamus, what you
That
were
was a bit of a
saying
jump
before,
there. That felt
Was
pretty
that a bit of a
fucking abrupt.
It
just
was
gonna
already
say.
on my mind.
All right.
Just before you were saying how in this line of work it's cool how you get to work with your friends, whether like Octavia, who's an art director, or Sammy, who's a writer, or directors or whatever, and like it's whether you bring your friend on the road who's a photographer, or the tour manager or whatever, and it's like, oh, I have a friend who's an amazing writer.
Cheers, bruv. Yeah, I remember. For me, the moment that I remember was I was actually in Paris at the time because I'm a bit of a fancy pants, and I remember I was having a chat. I think I was trying to sort out my visa to stay in Europe, and to sort of get kind of settled over there at the time. And I remember having a chat with Paddy, and this was just when you'd booked the arenas, and that was massive. Like it was a big milestone for you guys. Like it was record breaking for indie bands to be booking those kind of venues. Kudos, 12,000 tickets. Like we knew it was going to be like a big deal. So it was around that time. I remember Paddy gave me a bell, and he was kind of like, yeah, we just got this thing booked. You should come along. And I remember thinking, it's sort of just, that was actually, that phone call was when the title came to me, was when I was like, oh, rightos, into the belly of the beast. So it was kind of like this idea of like being an outsider, sort of jumping inside the jaws, slicing open a window for everyone else to have a squiz inside. So kind of like, I think from the beginning it was about opening a window into the world, or the circus, or whatever you want to call it, on the road. And then, just kind of sharing that, because I'm not a music journo, or, I don't have a wealth of experience with music critique, but I would say that I'm more of just a storyteller, and I like to just kind of spin a kind of colourful yarn. So I think that was how it sort of came about. And yeah,
I think you did a really good job, even like the talking about lyrics, and when you have a go at talking about the music itself, it's good. It's good for a first timer.
yeah, it's good to hear. Well,
Yeah.
Oh man, on
Wouldn't shoot
lyrics.
yourself down.
Like, so we came up with this idea, when was it? The top of 2019? Is that
yeah,
right?
That was it, just before the pandemic. So that I was cheering, because I could have got stuck over there. If I hadn't
Yeah.
got the visa, I would have been spewing. So I was very fortunate.
I just had no idea how much goes into a book. I really didn't. Like, on the topic of lyrics, like comparing making a book to, making an album, when you make an album, there's writing the lyrics, but then there's also making the music, and then there's recording it, and then mixing it, and then mixing it again and again, and then there's mastering it, and then there's making the artwork, and then there's putting it on vinyls and CDs and getting it on Spotify. And then I somehow mistakenly convinced myself that making a book was that Nelson would just write the lyrics, and then we print the lyrics, and then that's the end. But yeah, I've definitely got a newfound appreciation for books.
There's a lot in it.
There's so much, just combing through it again and again. I know we also drove you half mad with the amount of opinions that you've had, not just from bandmates, but also, management, girlfriends, rappers.
Look, I won't pretend that there weren't times during the interviews that you didn't piss me off. But right now, during this interview, I'm probably pissing you off. That's what people do. They piss each other off.
Swings and roundabouts.
maybe it's good to read a little bit. I mean, the start opens up with you going to Diz's place, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't
And
mind.
you also kind of talk a bit about what you were doing at the time as well. 'cause
I
you had a
wouldn't
job.
mind giving a bit of a yarn actually for the beginning, how the opening paragraph came about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was I'd come back to Sydney now, and through some curious turn of events, I was in a bit of debt at the time. I was sort of trying to sort my life out, so I took up a interesting little gig for a newsroom that was reporting on the aged care sector. So as my friend quite kindly put it, my career had come to reflect the people that I was writing about. Both of them were on life support. And I remember at the time I was doing the nursing home news, apparently, and I got this call, and I was in the office, and it was Paddy, and he was super hyped up. You were like booking the arenas at the time. You were doing the promo and everything, and you were like, "Hey, so we want to announce this book. Like, we want to get it out there. You reckon you can write us like a little overview?" And I remember being like, "Oh yeah, righto." So I just started punching it out at work, and it was just like a paragraph. So for you guys to sort of chuck it online or whatever. And I remember I finished it up, and I was apparently quite pleased with myself. So I accidentally sent it to my boss that day, tapped onto like the end of the nursing home news. And so they were reading the nursing home news, and then it was just like, belly of the beast, the loosest blokes ever, about to raise hell on the road. And they were just like, what the fuck is this? And apparently the feeling wasn't mutual. They didn't like it as much as me, and they let me go. So, but the timing was just as the tour was sort of getting going. So it was good that I could just properly spread my wings and, commit myself to doing it full time, because it ended up, as Paddy said, taking a lot longer than we thought. But just to circle back, that intro that I wrote, or that overview, ended up being very close to the opening paragraph of the book. So sometimes a bit of pressure is the right thing.
I was going to ask you, how did you feel like actually being on the road? Because if I don't say so myself, I do say so myself. You were pretty fucking lit. You were getting into it.
He was excited.
Swept away.
A few moments, a few babies microwaved.
I feel like that tour is like, it was somewhat controlled comparatively to other stuff that we've done in the past. And in saying that, what do you think? Was it chill? Were we chill?
That's a great question.
Am I chill?
I think I was definitely seeing it under a different kind of lens to an average tour, given the circumstances that it was, the biggest ones. I was joining for the whole thing. I was actually, on the road with you guys for a little while. So I think, relatively speaking, it probably wasn't like the loosest tour ever. I feel like you guys might have had ones that were more out of control. I don't know. What do you reckon?
Well, there's certain types of touring, isn't there? There's when you're on the bus in
Sleeper
America.
buses with the bunk beds and your
Yeah.
every night, boom, boom, boom.
Those ones. And then you got like the earlier days in Europe where it's in like a splitter van and you're sleeping on floors and stuff. Like that was the most luxe touring we've ever done. It's the biggest venues we've done. Weekend, week out kind of thing.
Sexy hotels with marble floors.
But then again, like I don't know what is acceptably a relaxed person these days. Like are we normal people?
I mean, you came in an era as well, exactly like we're in arenas, we're in, concrete green rooms, we're not stuck in the bus, we're not, sleeping in the van. I mean, you touch on this though in the book though, right? Because the book's talking about this tour, but then you section off into, past stories and
We'd have a good
other
time, that's
tours.
for sure. We always have a good time.
For me, it felt like perhaps not the loosest one ever, but it felt like the most exciting one that
Yeah,
I've seen.
100%,
It felt
yeah.
like the largest, and
If I may, I think what was unique about this tour, and also why we kind of wanted somebody to come and, document it and tell this story, was that there was quite a lot on the line on this tour. What was unique about it was we were independently putting on an arena tour, which has never been done before. So it was a bit of a feat, especially when you're a band that's getting zero radio play or zero industry support or whatever that is, but still we're kind of managing to kind of smash out arena shows just on the back of ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt really good. Yeah.
It felt great. Yeah.
Dizzle was Ronald McDonald as well.
Oh, with his red cherry locks. Yeah.
Then we did.
I love Macca's.
Then we did 2, maybe 1.5 rehearsals for that tour.
Yeah. We could have used a few more of those, let's be honest.
Sorry.
Got through, but
I sounded great.
On the back, we there was a decision made at some stage to not have a little bio about the book, but we've just got some quotes on the back of the book. Nelson, might you read Dylan's quote that's on the back of the book?
certainly. Just dust off the old memory. I'm not going to fucking read it.
Is this true?
My lawyer said I don't have to answer that question.
Okay.
However, there is a little bit of truth to it.
Yeah.
But I think, Dizza wasn't perhaps entirely the most engaged in the project at all stages. However,
Which you ended up making kind of part of your story, right?
well,
He's an elusive little prick, isn't he?
well, I do think that the net effect of that is not a bad thing. Like Dylan's mystery and his kind of elusiveness has always been one of his most compelling kind of qualities. And I think that from a journalism perspective, there's a lot of people who are willing to share their story, especially American people. The difference between trying to be a journalist in Australia and America is amazing. Anytime I'd ever call up an Aussie, there's just this kind of anti-authoritarian streak in Australia where, especially if it was regional Australia, then I would be always just ready for a torrent of abuse. If I would ever get anyone on the line, it's just like, I don't have to fucking talk to you, mate. What the fuck is this? Whereas if you call America, anybody I've ever called from America, they've got like headshots ready. They've got their sound bites. They've got like their speaking points. They're ready to rock. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be interesting to read about. You know what I mean?
I think a large part of that is to do with Australia has a huge cultural cringe.
Hey, get that camera away.
I also think it's a little bit of a post-convict
A bit
effect.
uncomfy.
Yeah.
A little bit of a post-convict authoritarian, police, journalists that, we don't like them.
Oh, just generally up yours.
Yeah.
Can we touch on your career, on your little stint at the Daily Mail?
Yeah, sure.
It's one of my favourite stories. The dolphin. Do you want to enlighten our viewers, our listeners?
The pink dolphin.
Yeah, please.
How could I forget? And this isn't the other pink dolphins that we forget from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that was my first ever pinger.
But yeah, so I was doing a yarn on the on this pink dolphin at the time, and I remember I sort of wrote it up. I was like, check it out. It's a pretty nice dolphin. I don't know. I punched out a yarn on it, and down the line they actually changed the headline. Somewhere down the line got changed to is this the most emotional dolphin ever? Dolphin seems to blush when it's embarrassed or something to that effect. And I was just like, oh, fuck, I don't really care. Like, I'm not too fussed. And down the line, I actually opened a message in my inbox from a scientist. He was a dolphin scientist. And I remember reading it, and he's like, in all of my years of research, I have never read anything as damaging as your article. At no stage did you research anything about the albino dolphin. It's not blushing. And I just remember being like, oh, shit. And I just deleted the message. But I've got a few other yarns from the Mail.
It's fucking good.
So,
Good journalism there, eh?
I believe there were several death threats during your time there. I'm not sure if you can talk about that.
Some
or
cult
not.
shit, eh?
Yeah, so another memory at the time was I had been covering this cult. I was always pretty interested with cults and this kind of the kind of messaging that can, convince people to do that sort of wild shit when they're living in a comfortable place like Sydney. And yeah, there was this particular cult that was from South Korea, and they had infiltrated the university system. So they were recruiting at Sydney Uni, UTS, UNSW, from memory, I think. And they were basically pretending to run modeling agencies and then basically luring girls to join. And so I had interviewed a bunch of victims, and yeah, I knew when I was about to push this yarn out, I was like, pretty sure this is going to come back to me. Like, I'm pretty sure that they had a history of violence against journalists and kind of storming newsrooms and beating up, anybody who wrote about them. So I sort of got this sense at the time that that I was, it was good to be careful when I put this story out. So, and then also at the time, just to swerve, I had got this comment on another article of mine, which I really enjoyed, which was, thanks, Nelson Gloom. That's the most boring article I've ever read.
This is all the Daily Mail, right?
Yeah, and I remember being like,
That one's good. That's kind of a bit constructive,
yeah, I liked it. It gave me something to work with. So at the time, I was like, okay,
Good gag.
so I'm a Gloom train, and I've got this thing going on. So I changed my name on Facebook to Winston Gloom, so that I could sort of lay low. And then the next day when I arrived to work, I actually came upstairs, and I remember having a word with the HR. They pulled me in the office and they said, just so you know, that cult came to visit you last night. They were downstairs, and I was working at the time. So I was upstairs and they were downstairs. And so...
So
Were
they came
they-
to bash you.
who knows?
And they have bashed people.
What did they look like? Were they in
I didn't see
robes
'em.
and were
I
they
didn't see 'em.
naked?
No, they wear suits.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see him.
Plain black suits, I imagine.
You know when people fuck with Scientology and then
They arrive.
people they arrive
Intimidation tactics.
and there's always one of them with a camcorder and they start filming you back, sort of follow you around. But I don't think the murder is immediate, but they arrive. That's
So
the first
they're
step.
like a current affair.
They don't bash
basically.
you.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you're going to talk about me, I'm gonna film you.
Yeah.
Why'd you write that about me?
That is like the new thing, isn't it? Someone's like, film you. Well, I'm going to film you. Well, fuck. Go on.
Film it, you love it, little tarts.
Check this out then, you fucker.
Krabs, would you mind reading your quote on the back of this yearbook
Sure.
here?
I didn't really enjoy it, but most of what's in there is true.
True?
Facts.
Facts.
Big fact.
Wait, most of it.
I mean,
Is that
true or facts? No, I think I honestly, I think it's all pretty true.
Sure.
Sometimes the
it's all
truth
pretty
is
true.
stranger than fiction. True
I
or
think so.
facts?
Facts. No, I think it is true. I think all of it's true.
For good or ill?
For good. I think sometimes you got to fluff a story here and there, but I think all of this is actually true.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, I think there's things we wouldn't want to be true. Maybe I should have said that. I wish things weren't this true.
well, yeah. Like how many drafts did this book go through, Nelson? In the end,
I would say probably like it's always hard to say because the editing is a bit of a never-ending story. But I would probably put it at around about 4. So it's pretty well kind of considered everything in there, I like to think.
yeah.
I mean, you also went through the motions of having to take quite a bit of stuff out, right? So a lot of the truth got deleted.
Do you feel like it's one of those
Would
things?
you agree?
Sorry.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
I would
I was thinking about something completely different when I was talking.
I would say that the format of it, whereby we were making this as visually engaging as possible with a lot of photos. It actually put a cut on the word. It was a very tight word count to be able to fit
True.
all of the illustrations and images in there. So
There is a lot of photos.
I think it's
and
always
sketches.
a good thing to learn as a writer to how to use the chopping board. And as Paddy's dad said, shout outs to Mark. He was very supportive with the writing of this book, and helping me kind of find my voice and stuff. He always calls it they call it killing your darlings when there's something that it might not make the cut for that project, but he always says, yeah, but you're only burying them in a shallow grave. So you're going to be able to dig them up and put them in a nice little dress pretty soon. Like,
right.
you're not saying goodbye.
Something I'd like to bring to the table
Yeah, bring it.
is that, there's probably some people listening or whatever who are going to be like, oh, okay, these guys got their mates to write a book about them, so it's going to be like pure smoke up the ass. But I struggle to find a single sentence where I'm mentioned where I don't sound like a complete loser in the entire book. So
What do you mean? Like, what do you?
Well-
how do you sound like a loser, buddy?
well, look, like,
Turn to page 48. Read
Yeah?
the quote. Read the
48?
quote.
really?
Fuck, I'm a loser. I'm pretty sure that's what it says.
Can confirm.
Yes, he
Fucking
does.
loser.
He does. He does.
Delete it, lad. But yeah, so Krabs, you're the one who's saying you didn't really enjoy it. Let's Seamus, if you wouldn't mind reading your quote out
Yeah.
on the back of the book.
I was just going to say as well on that topic before, did you feel like the story isn't over yet? You're kind of like, fuck, we did that one tour. But like, you almost could just keep going with this shit because there's just never-ending crap coming out of this band.
I love the idea of someone going.
Crap. Sorry, buddy.
I love the idea of someone going and taking this now and spinning it in a completely different direction and telling, my side of it was growing up with you guys, the growth, the kind of evolution, seeing it, through my eyes. So I would love for someone to go and just spin it in a completely different direction. Bands usually have a bunch of different books, a bunch of different stories being told and different directions. So I'd love for this to inspire someone to take it.
Well, yeah, this
Nice chapter.
yeah, well, it's a vessel of time, a portal.
Yeah,
Like this book was never going to be like a definitive biography about the band because the story's not over. But like taking this tour as like the spine of the book, but then Nelson's history with all of us individually using the tour and being on tour as like the current time frame, but then arcing back to different points in time,
Yeah.
I think is quite unique.
Yeah.
And then also taking that Gonzo approach.
Gonzo, for the listeners, is a style of journalism coined by Hunter S. Thompson, whereby you are taken into the mind and thoughts and actions of the writer as the story unfolds. So you're seeing, what they are thinking, and it's more. I like to think it's written more like in a novelistic style, so it's more immersive. And I think the real effect of that is not that you know how the writer is feeling, but that the reader is also joining them by making that through the eyes and ears of the writer. Then the reader actually comes on the tour, which was the original idea.
One thing that I really did actually enjoy was the way that because there's sensitive stuff in there as well. It's not complete, just funny ha 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 moments. It's actually like. I was trying to do that one. I didn't do it. But yeah, there's actually like sensitive moments. I mean, Beaker talks about some stuff. It's probably not best because he's not here, but I'll leave that for the viewers and listeners when they do actually read it. But you went through sensitive stuff to then talk about really, funny, belly laughing stuff as well. And there's talking about Manu. There's just things that are really heartwarming moments in the course of our history. And I think you did that really well.
Thanks, Krebs. Yeah, I like to think that I did tackle some kind of big topics in there, and it's good to hear that that you were filming it.
Seamus, I asked you to read
Crack us
to read
another one,
your
would you?
quote on
And the
the
drinky.
Seamus's quote.
on the back of this book, and you just
Seamus's quote on the belly of the
Can you
bit.
crack
And
us
I
a drink, Wes, before you
deflected.
do?
I deflected.
you fully deflected me.
I deflected.
I haven't forgotten.
Okay. Why doesn't? Does your seat also? Whenever I sit in my seat, I just end up. Is that just me?
It suits you.
Back here?
I thought you were just swagging out over there. Like, you look really cool.
I'm comfortable with it. Does it look cool?
Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah.
Another fatty on the road. Seamus Coyle's quote.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say this because it's about me, but how good is it?
Sounds like you fancy yourself quite a bit.
Did you like just the parts about yourself or like everyone else?
I didn't read your parts.
Oh.
You got sent those little paragraphs from him, didn't he?
Seamus Coyle. Oh, fuck. Jeez. Yeah.
Years later, a therapist would tell him that was narcissism.
I skimmed through the skim photos of like 2015. Like, fuck.
Oh, you like the picture pages?
So I read books.
There are lots of picture pages. It's nice.
No, it's good. It's all good.
I've got a couple of questions for you boys, actually.
The turn of the tide.
What do you have to
Oh.
say for yourselves? No, I think it'd be great to hear. You guys have really taken a new direction with this project, and you've already learned your chops in the music industry, but now you've learned publishing and bookmaking as well. So, what would you say is next for Westway?
Did you hear that when I did that?
But what's next for Westway?
What's next?
Oh, we're just putting the finishing touch. Oh, that's actually, I can't say that right now, can I?
Oh, you can't.
No, I
Things
can't.
are coming.
Yeah.
Big things.
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
Answering you with what's next for Westway. I don't know. Like, I've seen countless people and countless labels sort of sign acts and treat acts the same way that a half-cut man down at the TAB might put 9 bets on 17 different horses. In other words, they'll kind of like do a half-assed gamble on a lot of horses and then only really look after the one that's winning and then just cast the rest into asparagus. But I think our focus right now is purely Dante. And like we've had other people, we've had other artists too. We're personally really excited about who, to be honest, we may miss out on because it might be too late by the time we might be in a place where we feel like we can offer them a deal. But we want to see, our pure focus is to see Dante doing the absolute best he can be doing first. And then once we've got him to a place where we've agreed that's like, yep, that's good, that's when we'll start talking about signing another artist. But until then,
Don't want to also half-ass someone else.
that's
Like
it.
you said.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of artists we want to work with, but firstly, it's costs a bit of money.
Yeah, cost a bit of cash.
But you don't want to be like, mate, yeah, come on down, we'll fucking sign you, we'll offer you the world, and be like, fuck, sorry, bro, we're actually running pretty thin here.
I think it's also guidance as well, though. Like it's I don't even consider Westway to be just a label, even though that's probably what the name or would fit. I think it's more of an all-encompassing kind of project where it's like it's almost like you're guiding. I think what we've done with Dante is guiding him in a way that we knew and how we operated, just kind of doing everything DIY.
Don't do what we did. Run.
A lot of things what we did, I think do a lot of what we did.
We
but
did good. And
do a
bad.
lot of what, yeah.
Some good, some bad. Yeah.
But I think it's just the raw work ethic, and I think we're kind of attracted to those artists that want to follow that as well. They're not in it for the quick cash or need to get that radio play straight away.
If anyone's in it for quick cash, they're in the wrong fucking business.
Yeah.
I think with you guys, your story has been, I would say this is the first time it's been properly told. It's been told with sort of varying degrees of authenticity through the years, but I think it would be cool for the listeners to hear why you thought it was important to tell your story.
Yeah, there was quite a few years there where there was a lot of varying things being said about the band. Some good, a lot bad, and it felt like we hadn't been given any genuine opportunity to actually like speak our truth, I guess is a way to put it. And so I don't know, it's felt nice being able to actually sort of tell our story from our perspective from the beginning up until now. And there's still a lot more that's gonna sort of, the story's not over, but this is a really good kind of story so far.
Yeah, there's a bunch of kids, upper class kids from the North Shore playing reggae rock. That's the story, right?
Born and bred.
Born and bred in fucking DY, isn't that right?
Mossman in the
Private
DNA.
school boys from the northern beaches, sticky fingers.
That's the fucking story, right?
What wanker said that again?
Some fuckhead.
I think it'd be cool. It'd be cool for the listeners to hear why you guys thought that I was the one to tell the story, because I think the book industry is, from a non-fiction perspective, usually run by people who have a profile and then they sort of get a ghostwriter, but they're not actually a writer themselves. So most of the books that are selling in bookshops are actually more so, just about the profile of the person. But in this instance, I would say it was probably not the most conventional route to take to get a writer to tell the story. So I'd love to hear, how you came to that decision.
Well, that's what I love about it. It's not a conventional book at all. It's like, it's a very unique read, and just, I don't know, you've made me piss my pants since I was 7 years old, and you have a very unique, creative brain, and you're just a funny motherfucker. And I think that translates really well into this book, and that's why I'm glad that your character is within it as well.
Cheers, I drank my beer. I need another one. Also on that note, like,
Absolutely.
there's, when you work, like I said before, in our industry, because we get to work with so many like friends and family, like my partner and people like Brumby and stuff. When you know someone so well, it's easier for them to, you can like be a bit more vulnerable and like more open. So having you there, it's like you're just a mate. So it wasn't.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like
Where like we don't exactly trust the media anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After
there's no doubt
of what
that's-
we've been through.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's not that shit. It's not that we won't talk to the media, but it doesn't feel like we're able to be fully real with the media after.
very easy to twist words, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So there's that too.
Easier than it is to fact check.
And you're also a funny man, and
With a funny plan.
with a funny plan.
Funny pants.
I think it's funny from the get go. The whole thing's really, really good. And like I said before, it makes you feel, you have the heartwarming moments, but then it's just really funny.
Did you ruffle? Did you ruffle, Crabs?
I did. I ruffled. I giggled.
Consider him ruffled. I think if you guys were to do this again, and I really hope you do, what would you do differently?
I will have programmed AI Seamus. So he will be on stage. He will be talking to the interviewer. He will be doing the drugs, and I will be relaxing.
I will have a belly full of wine and a woman's lips around my cock.
I think I'll probably just be a bit more vulnerable as well. Like I think I got there as we talked a bit more, but I think there were moments where I didn't realize that I actually was finding it difficult to answer things, and also difficult to remember things. I think sometimes you'd be like, "Oh, what happened here?" And I'd just be like, "I don't fucking remember."
You're going to need photo cues from now on.
Exactly.
I don't fucking know. What do you fucking want?
That's not
Get out of
me.
my face.
Get out of me house.
I've never been to fucking Paris, mate. I don't know. what
Who
you're
is this
talking
cunt? Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, I guess when you're old and withered, you do the tell all, don't you? But what is that?
Like I said, the story's not done, so
Yeah.
there's still more to be done. There might be a part 2, a part 2.
I mean, mind you, it's obviously self-produced as well. So like all the production and Paddy, you could probably talk a bit about that too. Like there was a lot back and forth to get the actual final book out.
Freddie's mother was very upset that the photos were not returned to her promptly.
That was my fault.
That was Patrick's fault.
Actually, it was Krabs' fault.
Zora, I'm sorry.
I vehemently deny these allegations.
The photos
Yeah,
were
like, as-
held
as if
hostage
we
for
could-
months on end.
we
Family
could
photos,
not-
important.
That can't possibly be true.
How could we not include this photo?
I love that you still do the same thing.
You do, don't you?
Very pretty,
3-year-old crab.
pretty baby.
Salami,
Pretty baby, if I'm allowed to say that.
mortadella,
Come on, man, I'm serving it. It's Travapi.
cevapi,
Sarma.
What's sarma?
Like cabbage, like pork mince in cabbage.
Ah, yes, I've had
It's
this.
fucking
I've had like
delicious.
the Polish version of that.
but it stinks. You got to boil the cabbage. It
Yes.
reeks the whole house out.
Yes, I've had
It
this.
reeks the whole house.
My sister-in-law, she's Polish. They've eaten that stuff. It's good stuff.
I think something which was unique about the tour was that the support acts and therefore a lot of the crowd were from what was at the time quite a different scene, or I saw it as quite a disparate scene. And I've always been big on the kind of Sydney gutter rap or the Sydney new wave rap scene, and to see those worlds come together.
Yeah, who do we have on that tour again? Just remind us and our listeners.
So we had Chillin' It as the support, and he had his tour manager at the time was Forte at large. Shout out
Actually,
to Forte.
I've actually just managed to flip onto page 20. They call Melbourne the Garden City, and there's no shortage of herbs backstage thanks to the main support, Chillin' It 420. He emerges from a shroud of smoke with his colourful tour manager Forte at large, a veteran of the gutter rap scene who holds himself like a WRX salesman. Do you think Forte is going to appreciate that?
Well, I think we might take that over to the WRX customer over here. Actually.
Absolutely.
Did you buy that car from Forte?
Because it's a piece of shit.
It's not a piece of shit. It has potential, but Krabs, you've got to just
It's a
accept
spoilers
the-
car.
You've got to commit.
I told you I'm a gentleman.
You don't buy a fucking WRX and get it in that blue with the hood scoop, and then don't put a fucking spoiler on it. Come on, bro. Like, what are we doing here?
Let alone air conditioning and subwoofer.
All right, it needs a little bit of a touch up.
Give it some fucking love, dude.
Have some pride in your vehicle.
Come on, it's not that bad.
You see, Nelson, words hurt.
need to learn the consequences, eh?
Yeah.
No, but just circling back. So, Paddy, would you like to go into how that sort of came about? Because I think a lot of the fans from both of those fan bases at the time were sort of like, whoa, what's going on? This was quite surprising. But I think that wasn't the case for everybody on the stage. Because I think everybody on the stage was like, as Forte told me, he said, real recognize real. So the performers were of a similar ilk, but they were from very different kind of scenes. So do you want to go into how that came about?
Do you think there's like something in it where even when we first started out, we didn't really ever fit into a fold, but like...
Yeah, not never, even before that.
Yeah. And so
Too reggae, mate.
Yeah, exactly right. We were just too kataka. But like, in that, it's been a kind of a gift because we've been able to kind of shape shift and play and work with different artists from all different genres and worlds and places and corners of the earth. We've got many different friends and we've collaborated with many different people that come from, completely different genres, which is pretty unique, I guess you might say.
That's just really nice, isn't
It's
it?
nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
It was fun. It was fun too. It was hell random. We're like, we're getting chilling. And I'm like, the rapper, right? Yeah, that was fucking random as, all right. But he was sick.
I liked his lyric here or what he said about, he goes, chilling. I never fucked with much rock, he tells me, but How to Fly got me through some dark days. I feel like that's his like number one song.
What page is that?
That's number 22.
He
So that's soon after.
he felt that there was a strong connection in the kind of nature of the lyrics and the topics you guys and the lifestyle perhaps that you guys were leading was not that different. It was just the music and the sort of backgrounds.
Well, Krabs has managed to say the nice quote, but then the next quote on the same page is, I've always backed them. Shame when we linked, they ended up being such grubs.
Out of context, perhaps. What do you have to say for yourself?
Look, I said most of it was true, right?
That's journalism 101 right there. You just fucking nitpicked what you wanted to shape us into these monsters.
No comment.
So there's quite a lot in this book, but I've just stumbled upon page 138 and I've just found this little sentence or a couple of sentences, which is, once after a show in Montreal, Beaker caught an intruder bolting out of the bus with his laptop. Instinct launched him into the thief, and he'd no sooner pulled him back by his shirt collar than a passing truck tore the bus door clean off its hinges. I remember that.
What a night.
I was with Beaker there. I was with Beaker at the back. It was the back of the bus.
What
So
were you doing at
picture-
the back of the bus?
No, we were just chilling. I think it was the
You were
last
just chilling,
show.
were you?
Yeah, we were just chilling in Montreal, eating some poutine.
It was a snowy night as far as I was concerned.
We only came back later, you and I, to find the door of the bus missing.
We did.
But tell the story, Crabs, if you may.
Well, I'll tell as much as I can remember. You guys just butt in when it's not true.
You're a
Anyway.
proper
Does the poutine cloud your memory, does it?
You're a proper geriatric these days,
Yeah,
aren't you?
I am,
Okay,
mate.
remember nothing. No comment.
We were sitting at the back of the bus. It's kind of like if you picture it, there's beds lined up through the hallway. We're at the very back, which is like the entertainment area. And then we see this guy just walk in, stumble in at the front, grabbed the laptop that he saw, which was like at the front of the bus. I remember Big going, hey, you. And he just ran and grabbed him. And as the door came open, Beaker grabbed him and his backpack or whatever was on him. And as he grabbed it, he sort of saved his life because he was going to hit this oncoming car that ended up knocking out over.
So
the
he
fucking-
pulled him back as the
So
car took
Beaker
the door clean off.
Beaker saved this thief's life. Absolute thief.
Absolute low gutter dog.
Absolute low gutted dog.
I think it's interesting that
Hey,
there's a big bus full of people, and it was Beaker's. I like to think it was his sixth sense that told him that it was his laptop. Like it could have been, there's a lot of people on there, and he had that instinct that he was like, "Oh no, my poor knob."
I was about to say.
Nelson, if you don't mind it, in the very last picture section, there appears to be a photo of you being removed from stage by a security guard known as Crazy Horse.
I actually think that you may be mistaken there. That's actually my little brother, Sweet 16, and I'll just pour one out for him because it's actually pretty shattering what happened to him. I'm not sure if you guys actually got the full story, but so Sweet 16 had joined the boys on the tour. They'd been in Byron recording Lekker Boy at the time.
Yeah.
And they had gone for a run. If I recall correctly, we'd gone up to the shops to get some sushi, and we found my brother, and he was like, "Oi, give us a chance. Let me go spit a few Sweet 16s in the booth." And we were like, I was like, "Oh yeah, nah, he's all right." And he joined, and he had a pretty good time on the tour, and I think he really enjoyed himself. And
Bit misunderstood, potentially.
you could argue that it did go to his head a little bit, but he did end up getting a record deal out of it. So this was
Really?
just when the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hit, and all the record labels were bleeding money, so they dropped him almost immediately. And it was actually really it was quite shattering. He was going through it. He moved back to Coolangatta, and he actually went back to work on the cheese farm. And he got mauled by a crocodile, and he died. He got death rolled.
Really?
So much to unpack there.
So he got mauled by a crocodile in Coolangatta.
At the cheese farm.
On
So-
the cheesy.
What?
Right.
What
So
died- you
was
could
this a
say-
pet? Was this a pet crocodile? Or was it one that migrated from up north?
You could say that he died doing what he loved.
What cheese are they doing
Making
in
cheese.
Cooley?
I believe it was the classic budget stringer cheese bell.
That's where
imitation
that
stuff.
comes
I
from.
love that.
That got my attention.
That's where it comes from.
Well, look, moving on. There's another photo in
I thought he
the
was stabbed by
second
Dante Nose.
in the second last photo section. There's another photo from a man who certainly looks a whole lot like you, who appears to be drooling all over of one Freddie Krabs, who is recoiling in complete disgust. What do you answer to this?
Yeah, could you describe Sweet 16's
Actually-
relationship with
Well, no, this is
Freddie
nothing.
Krabs?
This has nothing to do with this crocodile victim that was just mythed out to our audience.
Well,
It
Krabs-
says right here, author offends Freddie Krabs, and you were the author, correct?
Well, I think that's completely taken out of context.
Okay.
I'd like to refute these allegations.
I'm just reading this part here about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can turn to any page in this book that I know my name's mentioned. Just you just say it. Ready, go. Say in a page. Say page 129. Say that. 129.
Page 129.
Yeah. Okay.
Page 129.
Yeah, that's Seamus. Yeah, right here. Check it out. It says Seamus. It's a heartwarming moment. It's up when we're up in Byron and we're recording. trying to record Lekker Boy.
Yeah.
We were trying to record.
Trying to is good.
We're like, we'll do an acoustic album in a week in Byron during the arena tour. We didn't. Dylan didn't even come. You came early, but you were angry. Baker didn't come. And we had kind of hung out. I think we got a bit down, but we decided quickly that it wasn't obviously going to be an album. And was it an EP? I can't remember. I need photos to clarify these kind of things. But anyway, I remember at the time there was bushfires. And there was one little cute koala up in the tree.
Ah, the Black Summer.
Yeah. Which is
yeah.
the whole tour was around the Black Summer.
I think it's interesting for the readers to know that the backdrop of this entire tour was the worst bushfire season in history in Australia, and they were skies more apocalyptic than I've ever seen in my life. They were like truly kind of orange, deep ashen skies and blood red suns, and it was all very dramatic. It added this kind of, I mean, it was tragic, but it did add this kind of drama and urgency to the whole story.
And also aroma of barbecued koala, like consistently under the nose.
Millions of them. I tell you what was interesting. You know where we are. We went out to Armidale to do the Mad Proper Deadly riding trip, and we went out to the bush, and we were like, it's pretty smoky out here, boys. They're like, nah, it's all good. And we trusted the local boys.
The charred skeletons of trees lining either side of the road, just a complete tree graveyard.
You could see like 20 meters in front of you, maybe.
Hang on a second. You started telling a story there and then you completely just
It's part of it. Well,
diverted.
The other story was I saur a fucking koala. I don't know.
You saw the koala. No, but that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah, but this has got me onto something more interesting.
Okay.
Oh, what was the koala?
I thought it was a smooth seg.
Yeah, was it good?
You saw the koala?
Yeah, if you guys like check it out.
It was a real Anna Corin segue, that one.
I stopped reading. I just saw my name and stopped reading. Yeah, and we're like, so we're up there camping out, and we're like, the local boys, they know what's up. Like, yeah, we're sweet here. When we went back a couple, I think last year we went back up there, and we're talking like, fuck, remember last time we were up here, the fires, they're like, when we trusted you, we're like, honestly, apparently they were like just over the hill and we were not safe at all. Like just a one change of the wind and we were all fucked.
It really felt that way.
But like at the time we had full trust in them and they were like, yeah, it's sweet. But later I was like, nah, bro, we had no idea.
I felt pretty safe. Personally, I felt pretty safe.
There's lies.
That was a sick time.
I think for me personally, again, going back to this outsider perspective, going on a tour, of that sort of size and that level of excitement, I think one of the things that really appealed to me and has stuck with me to this day was this sense of community and this sense of belonging to something bigger than yourself. And I think your whole crew and yourselves, made me feel so welcome and feel, always felt like I belonged there. And I think it would be great to hear from you guys if that was part of what drew you to this lifestyle in the first place, and if that's part of what the allure of being in a band is and the romanticism.
That's good to hear, by the way, brother. That's beautiful.
That's nice.
Thank you.
I think definitely at the start, like you feel the community just amongst yourselves, like the band, but that grows as your crew grows, as you need sound guys and lighting guys, and definitely we would be nowhere without those people. Management, whatever, but like especially on the road, you form bonds.
Oh yeah,
you form
especially
bonds
these
with-
days.
Yeah,
Our crew really holds us together.
Yeah.
Forged in hot irons.
yeah,
those
yeah. You
friendships.
form serious bonds with people that because on those sleeper buses, like it's some brutal stuff is going on. Like it's not all glitz and glamour. You're sleeping in a fucking coffin.
Stinks.
Stinks like shit. You're sleeping in a coffin. You just heart palpitations. Don't know if you're ever gonna make the next show. If you, you know what I mean. Yeah, you do definitely. You feel like
Pepsi.
you definitely feel you feel like you got a family, and there's some of them come and go, some of them move on, have babies and shit.
Well, yeah, like originally you were only supposed to be covering like the Australian part of the arena tour, but then speaking of family, we missed you. So then we flew you over to New Zealand just to keep it going. Just to
Get it
keep-
back in here, look.
Yeah, because there's that whole post-tour blues thing where you just kind of want to keep the whole ride. The wheels need to keep spinning to feel sane.
And that was great to weave, New Zealand into that narrative with Seamus and Diz's background there. And,
Of course.
I think it was important to hear that as well. So cheers for that. It was great to see.
Of course.
Summer in NZ's nice, eh?
That's beautiful, huh?
Rolling Green
Did we do
Hills.
the Coral Glen on that tour?
We did.
Yeah, it's a sick venue.
That was when
Special.
you had the carrot hanging out of your jeans and you were fitting the carrot like a penis.
Yeah, it was especially the contrast of leaving that kind of apocalyptic, wasteland of Australia and seeing that contrast of those rolling green hills and crisp blue skies was
The
pretty
Shire.
dramatic. It was.
I think also a sense of belonging, like that's happened since the band's existence, right? And like even in Annandale Hotel days, which we mention in the book, you think of all those people that made those sellout shows were our friends. And so then you think of all our guest list to all the shows that we've had, recently. It ends up getting to like 300 just because
Thousands of dollars.
thousands of dollars. But just because there's all these people that you're like, holy fuck, no, you've been such an important part to our, come up, and it just feels wrong to not have them there.
Part of the indie philosophy that got you guys here in the first place, perhaps.
Yeah, it almost feels like you feel bad for not wanting to continue to have all these people that have been there for you. And
Yeah.
I think you should. Like there should be an obligation.
But I dare say a lot of other bands and artists aren't doing that. This level
because they're a
of
pack of dogs.
There are a lot of low gutter dogs in this industry. I'll be the first to say it. And there's not many of them are taking this degree of like an entourage with them. So
Yeah, and that
shout outs.
that also that went worldwide as well. As we went over to Europe, we formed friends and shit over there that we still to this day.
Of course, our Dutch family, where lips and assholes have no gender.
Yes. So anyway, the world was on fire, and it's going to be on fire again. I'm pretty sure it's on fire right now. The world's going to be on fire this summer.
We're on fire too.
We're on fire,
This
mate.
book is also fire.
Fire,
Pure fire.
fucking fire.
I think also with this book, there's stories that I think in all the controversy around the band, I remember the Wagga story particularly that never really truthfully got told, or at least our truth. And you'll get to hear a bit of that in this.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And I think a lot of people were really quick to slam the band, but I wanted to
Two
read one.
sides to every story.
I wanted to read our side to this story, or at least one little paragraph.
Please.
Playtimes were strict due to the hotel's curfew, and the band were due to go on there and then. Problem was, Paddy was fanging for a slash, and the closest toilet was on the opposite side of a packed-out room. So when Jimmy suggested he just go off the balcony, he went to the edge and let loose a high jet. It was followed by an "Oi, cunt!" below. The golden shower had narrowly missed the heads of punters in the beer garden. It was on. Some drunk dude from the venue shirt-fronted me with a mouthful of pizza, says Paddy. According to Krabs, he was making no sense and the Cabanossi was flying.
He was eating my pizza.
Then he pulled the race card. Mr. Cabanossi called me a fucking wog.
No.
Says Krabs.
He didn't.
In Wagga of all places. Now, this is true. This is fact.
That's fact.
That's fact.
And those newspaper articles made it sound like I was giving a bunch of school kids a fucking golden shower.
Yeah. Exactly. So look, there's more to the story. We won't read all of it, but there's when you don't give your truth, you get done.
Yeah.
We should have said this to the Wagga Daily when it came up.
we ended up going like full circle. We ended up pissing on men in Holland for art.
Yeah, but that was, with consent.
That was with consent.
He was asking for it.
He was asking us, "Can you piss on me out of this window?"
That was a
I obliged.
plot twist that I think nobody in Wagga saw coming.
Me and Dylan unleashed fury on that man's head.
And so you should.
He'd heard about the incident and said, "So, I hear you boys like pissing off balconies. I'm trying to live my old college days in a photo series. And it's going to be on an exhibition across billboards in the Netherlands." And next thing,
You didn't want to leave him hanging.
no.
Mate, it was
So you let it hang.
once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime. Could you piss on me for art? You know what, brother? Fuck yeah.
It's on YouTube. I think
Is
you
it?
search Sticky Fingers. This is art. That's what it is.
It's
Sticky Fingers.
there.
This is art.
Well, I'll be.
Because that's the last thing you say. You say, this is art. And then you start pissing on this guy's face. All right, we've said enough.
Yeah, we've said enough.
I think another really fascinating thing to see was that people see this lifestyle and they see the antics and they see the shows and they listen to the songs and they, it creates this kind of illusion of being like this loose kind of cyclone, if you will, of just debauchery and as if there is no control. And for me coming on the tour, it was very eye-opening to see how much control is behind the chaos and, what goes into getting all of this team and, all of these musicians and all of the crowds where they need to be, when they need to be. Like there's a lot that goes into that. So I think that was a particularly, enlightening experience for coming on this tour.
It's funny. I was actually talking to Krabs last night, having a few beers last night, and we were talking about how for most characters, most people around the world will agree that, tour is the least healthy thing of their lives. There's like Mac DeMarco recently admitted and said like, that's why I'm not touring anymore because it's going to kill me. Or if you go back to the 70s, like when, the band broke up, as in the band, when they broke up. R.I.P. Robbie Robinson as of, what?
Last week,
7 days ago. But we were talking about Dylan and how like he's probably the only person I know who is actually healthier on the road than off the road, because with all of its debauchery, as you put it, there's still a schedule. There's still a timetable that you, in some way, shape or form, have to adhere to at least through the eyes of 4 or 5 blurry visions. Like, there's sound check whether you make it or not, but there's stage time, there's bus call and getting back to the bus and then traveling through the night to Barcelona or Amsterdam or wherever you're going. And though, depending on where you're at, you're getting fucked up or you're, how do you want to put it? If you're self-medicating on this or that or whatever, but there's still this timetable that where we're all doing this thing together and the wheels are moving forward and we're doing it together. Whereas sometimes when you get home, all of a sudden that whole family you have around you is just kind of just gone.
Exactly. It's that
the
sense of
bubble is
belonging
burst.
that you're sort of talking about, Nelson. It's like it's all there on the bus. You can't escape the love and the stinkiness and the plates are sharing.
And perhaps the longer that you are with that family, then the more it feels like it is your family. Like that more it feels like that is your reality, and back home is, an alternate reality even perhaps.
And that's one of the things that Diz's rehab doctor said when he said that, being on tour is probably, could be one of the best things for you in this sort of, analysing what was going on, particularly his life at that point outside. And that was very much this point of, being alone and being in your own thoughts can be the kind of end of a lot of people. And so, yeah, the belonging is so important, even when it sort of comes off mostly that it's a debauchery, but it's actually really just family time.
It's
Well said.
Yeah. I don't know now where I'm at. I think I used to be healthier on the road to a degree, but I didn't know really.
You look terrible.
I'm saying now, I think it's too late now in general.
You boys really sent it last
That's
year.
what I was about to
too,
say.
as
Last
well.
tour, I was like, the end of that tour, I was like, I should get home. This is absurd.
I was like, come to the gym, mate. Come.
I couldn't. I'd have a heart attack.
Well, then come to the sauna.
I always had a heart attack on fucking stage. But there was habits on that last tour that I was like, this needs to fucking just have a rest till the next tour. And but I feel like I used to go, I guess we had like, I don't know, less access to shit and like less money and stuff. And now as you're older, I got like, you got the wife and the dog and shit. It keeps you kind of you get home and you try and be a bit more, the balance, which means you really let loose when you go on the road.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I used to get home and be like, let's keep this rolling.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way, All the fans.
Yeah.
Sammy, you know. The first one to tie the knot.
That's good news.
The fiance.
The
Lo-
fiance.
Love of me life, mate.
Making us all look bad over here.
Yeah. Fucking step up, boys.
Well, oh, my rope broke. Yeah, nah.
Yep.
How you feeling, Nelsie?
Feeling good. Maybe like
Should we?
You guys. Should we
we
do it? Should we?
You got one down there? Who's going to do it?
No, I'm not going to do a shoey.
I'll do it. You want to do it, Paddy?
I think
Yeah,
maybe.
so apparently it's a tradition around here. Project 27 in Penrith.
yeah,
The Riff Raff.
Penrith.
Is that how you do it? Don't you put the beer in there? No, you've done it wrong.
No. I think he's doing it right. And then you just twist the little nozzle.
Oh.
Twizzle it.
I
Twizzle
imagine
it.
you crammed the whole beer in the top.
You think so?
No, I don't know anything.
If I've done it wrong, give me some assistance. If I've done it right, then just stay right there.
All right, here we go.
That felt pretty good.
Well, there you have it, everyone.
No, come
It's that easy.
What, you want to have a go?
Yeah, fuck yeah. You want to try your way?
Oh.
You want to jam the can in there?
You boys actually hate shoeys, though.
I know this is a
like-
real
this
sign
is-
of respect.
This, yeah,
like,
this is a real sign of respect. I hope.
It's a pretty clean
Open-minded.
shoey right there. That's a nice product.
I can't really do that stuff.
I feel like when you go to someone's house and they offer you the tea, you take the tea.
You take the tea. You show you're comfortable.
You show you're comfortable and you
If you
respect.
say no, you're kind of
If they give you the shoe,
it's cold.
you take the shoe.
take the shoe.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a new. Maybe I'm falling in love with a culture of ours that I'm. Maybe I'm just. I've been denying the little culture Australia has. It's time for me to accept it. We don't have much, but what we have, we cling on to dearly.
it's time to do the shoe.
There we go.
I'm just letting the froth. I want more lager.
Just do the cunt. Okay.
This is scintillating viewing.
There you go.
Oh,
Well, I think on that note,
frothy.
That might be us.
Come on, it's tradition.
nah, I can't do it.
Why?
No, I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it either.
Yeah,
It's done.
I've got to drive the spoilless Rexy. Someone's
If you had a
gotta do it.
spoiler, you'd do it.
I think at this stage, I reckon we should turn to Nelson and just ask. Want to thank you very much for writing this very beautiful and disgusting telltale about us pricks. And before we piss off for the day, just have you got any final thoughts for the people?
I think it would be good to share a little bit of my experience for other writers out there. I think it's good to know that it's not a race. You don't have to be getting something out. It's as soon as possible. Like I think it's about you should be living a life that's worth writing about. And another little pearl of wisdom that I'd like to share with people is that, as a wise man once said, happiness is inevitable.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Nelson, thank you so much.
Cheers
Thank
for
you,
coming
brother.
down. Thanks for the book.
Belly of the Beast on the road with sticky fingers.
Gents, thanks for having me.
Ciao.
For now.